Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, there's a bit of a row going on over allegations the BBC colluded in the resignation of one of Jeremy Corbyn's team last week. No comment, but let me be absolutely clear. There have been no furtive conversations with my next guest, Charlie Faulkner, who is, for the time being, at least, the Shadow Justice Secretary. The time being, and we'll see for how much longer. In the course of this interview, Pat McFadden was fired for for disagreeing with Jeremy Corbyn about the causes of terrorism. Was that the right thing to happen?
Well, I mean, Pat McFadden said there's no excuse, you can't justify what terrorists have done because of any allegation about what the West's policy is, and I obviously agree with that proposition. So I regret that Pat has gone, but I think...
So that was a wrong decision in your view?
The decision as to who is in and who is out of the Shadow Front Bench team is entirely a matter for the leader. My own view about Pat McFadden is that he was an absolutely excellent European minister. I've known Pat over a very long period of time, and he is an absolutely exceptional public servant.
So you don't think he should be fired? If he's an exceptional public servant and an exceptional politician and leader and so forth, he shouldn't have been fired?
I certainly wouldn't have fired him.
Right. Moving on directly from that, however, we're at a period where quite a lot of people on the centre-right, or whatever it is, the moderate side of the party, the Blairite side, however we describe it, are beginning to peel away from Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. Are you going to be one of them?
No, I'm not. From where we stand at the moment, the country needs an effective opposition. The floods, the junior doctors about to go on strike for the first time in 40 years, what's going on with Britain's support for the justice system in Saudi Arabia, these are issues that we should be focusing on. They're just examples. We, as a party, in the wake of the reshuffle, which is an amazing distraction from all of these issues, need to be coming together and doing the work to provide an alternative to this government, which is a very bad government.
To be an effective opposition, traditionally, you need to be quite a broad church. Are you a broad church still?
We certainly are a broad church, and you can see that we are a broad church from the makeup of the Shadow Cabinet, which remains a broad church even after the reshuffle. But the broad church, to be effective, has got to be a broad church that is not at war with itself. It has to be a broad church looking outwards and holding the government to account.
Doesn't that mean, given that you have a leader with strong views and so forth, that the NEC, the Shadow Cabinet, the Parliamentary Party needs to support Jeremy Corbyn and his views, so that people who take a different view basically need to belt up for a while?
There needs to be a period of calm. There needs to be a period in which policy is debated internally. In some respects, the views that the leader has will definitely prevail. In other respects, there needs to be our sleeves rolled up and proper policies put to the nation. And that means we need to do what political parties do, which is work together to come to an agreement on policy, both in relation to foreign affairs and defence and in relation to domestic policy, and put it to the nation. And that means work politically.
So if the NEC is going to take charge of policy like Trident, and that could happen very quickly, is that something you'd be worried about?
Well, I don't think the NEC are going to take
charge.
There's
heavy briefing that they're going to take
over.
Well,
I don't know where the briefing is coming from, but the way that policy is made in the Labour Party is ultimately by conference. I mean, for example, in relation to Trident, there are very, very, very many people who are employed in industries that support the Trident defence system. The unions should have a role in determining what our policy in relation to that is, and I'm not aware of any detailed proposals that we change the method by which we make policy.
You're pro-Trident. Has anybody suggested that you should belt up about that? Or?
No.
You're not being put back in your...
I've not been muzzled. I've not been put back in my box. And one of the reasons why Jeremy won the election within the Labour Party is that people wanted a more open debate about these things, and that is what we're going to have.
There are a lot of your friends, I think including the former Mr Tony himself, who's slightly puzzled about why Charlie Faulkner is still in Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet. If the policy changed on Trident, would you leave?
Well, I mean, let's see what happens in relation to that, but I'm clear that I support Trident remaining. Why is Charlie Faulkner in the shadow cabinet? Because I believe my role as a long-term supporter of the Labour Party is to do my best to ensure there is effective opposition against the government.
And you don't think, some would say, but you're legitimising a leader who can't win an election. That's what the right of the party say.
Well, what I'm doing is doing my best to make Labour effective, and the broader the church that we are, the more we reach out to the public, and reaching out to the public is what we've got to be doing.
And if you all stop resigning and attacking each other, can Jeremy Corbyn become Prime Minister?
Well, I mean, he became leader of the Labour Party. I think he can become Prime Minister. I think as long as there is an offer to the country that connects with the country, and there are big issues. This is the year of decision on so many issues, like, for example, the European Union. The Conservative Party is completely divided on the European Union, and I think in a place that is different from where the country are. We have huge opportunities as a party. We can only take them if we are not divided.
Charlie Faulkner, staying resolutely where you are, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Let me come to Labour, Janan. As Lucy Powell herself said, it's been a pretty traumatic week for Labour. Where now?
Where now is Labour moderates increasingly peeling off over the course of this year. I mean, what I found strange about the reshuffle...
Peeling off from the shadow cabinet or peeling off from the party?
Peeling off from the shadow cabinet and front bench rather than the party. Although members in the country, the moderates that are left, might peel off as well. What I found so bizarre about the reshuffle is not the fact that Pat McFadden was sacked, that Michael Duggar was sacked, that Maria Eagle was demoted. It's the mystery to me is, why do they want to be there in the first place? What do mainstream Labour people think they are achieving by actively serving in the front bench of a leader who they themselves believe is driving the party into the ground? I mean, presumably there's some prestige in being in the shadow cabinet, but it's a spurious, very limited kind of prestige. Exactly.
Of any shadow cabinet, Tory ones included.
Which leaves me with the only conclusion that they think that party unity is a prize above all else, and what they can't afford is an absolute split in the Labour Party before 2020. But they are actively aiding and abetting, and will be tainted by the result in 2020 if it's as bad as I imagine it will be.
If the moderates, as Janan says, if the centre left of the party peels off from the shadow cabinet, I mean, won't Mr Corbyn, and that makes life a lot easier for Mr Corbyn and Mr McDonnell. He can then reconfigure the shadow cabinet, as he is doing the NEC, in his image.
Yeah, and I think he's got actually quite a good year coming. I mean, you saw in that graphic there, Labour are likely to be the largest party in Wales. They probably will end up in government. Sadiq Khan has a very good chance of winning the London mayoralty. Those local elections might be a dip for Labour, but not a bloodbath. And all of that will stop anyone who, from the centre of the party, who wants to say, come on the electorate of smoke and this man can never get anywhere. I just don't think that's going to happen.
If it turns out, if the election... I mean, my sense is that even if the election results are bad for Labour, it's not curtains for Jeremy Corbyn. But if they're as decent as Helen suggests, Nick, will he go into the Labour conference in Liverpool at the end of September looking to change the Trident policy, a totemic change in policy?
Well, they'd hope to change it before then, because there may well be the so-called main gate vote on whether we go ahead with the renewal of Trident in Parliament before then. That's why there's this story in The Independent on Sunday about strengthening the hand of the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party over the shadow cabinet, so they can change the policy by then. But I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, Sadiq Khan is looking much stronger in London than Zach Goldsmith, so he may well win there. On the local elections in England, remember the last round these seats were held was in 2012, at a high point for Labour after the omnibus shambles budget, so Labour is bound to do badly. So it may well be...
But local elections don't determine leaders.
Exactly. But in other words, Jeremy Corbyn may well have a narrative that says it's all OK.
Yes or no? Will Jeremy Corbyn be leader of the Labour Party at the end of this year?
Definitely.
Yes.
Without question.
If Mr Cameron loses the referendum and it's this year, will he be Prime Minister by the end of the year?
No.
Yes.
No.
2-1. You're odd one out.
I don't think he'll lose the referendum, so I'm feeling fairly safe on that one.
Oh, no, but that was the assumption. You cheated there, Helen.